Hey everyone, Professor Michael Scanlon here. I want to talk to you today in our S.T.E.A.M series about sound. Now, sound is a wave. It's a longitudinal wave. It's a mechanical wave. And longitudinal waves kind of travel as squeezed together regions and stretched out regions. So it's not like a typical wave that you would think of on the surface of the water, like this. It's more of a wave that travels like this, squeezing and stretching, squeezing and stretching. But it is a wave. It does carry energy. How do you hear sound? Well, those squeezed together regions are called compressions or sometimes condensations, depending on who's calling it what. You know, I've heard it both ways. And these regions are a little bit higher pressure, a little bit higher density. And the stretched out portions are rarefactions. And those rarefactions are lower pressure, lower density. And so when it hits your eardrum, a compression will push it in, a rarefaction will cause it to pop out. And so your eardrum is going to vibrate with the sound. The more energy a sound carries, the louder it's going to be. Now, it's not a direct relationship where I double the energy, I double how loud it's going to be. That's not how it works. But if the energy goes up, the loudness will also go up. Not to the same direct proportions, but it will go up. They are related. One of the times that the volcano Krakatoa erupted, one of the times it erupted majorly, it made a lot of loud sounds, and there were reports of people that were not really close to it, miles away, but the sound was so loud it traveled really, really far. The sound was so intense, it actually caused their eardrums to tear. And so when the sound hit their eardrums, they tore. Probably really, really painful. What is that gonna have to do with the art portion of S.T.E.A.M? How are we gonna harness that? Well, I have set up a speaker system, I guess we could call it. I do have a speaker. It's in a tote, and I've stretched some plastic wrap on the top of it, and I put a sheet of black cardstock or construction paper on top of that, and then some sand, or you can use salt, whatever you happen to have. Now, you can get colored sand at a store. I forgot to get colored sand at a store, so I'm working with regular sand, so it won't really show up well on the plastic wrap. So I have that black sheet underneath it, so it'll show up a little bit better. But you can do this with just the plastic wrap. So I've got a tote, right? And I've got the plastic wrap, and if I had colored sand, I would just do away with the black sheet of paper. And I've got a speaker underneath that. You can use a phone, a computer speaker, whatever. The louder the speaker is able to get, the better this is going to work. Okay? I'm able to get away with using the paper because the speaker I have is actually capable of getting quite loud. For a phone speaker, I probably would do away with the paper and wait until I had colored sand to be able to do this and see what's going to happen. So as the speaker makes sound, it's a membrane, it's an electromagnet that's going to wiggle back and forth. Those sound waves are going to hit this plastic wrap and the paper subsequently. I have the plastic wrap tight around this thing, okay, like a drum head. It's going to hit it and cause this to vibrate, and that's going to cause the sand to vibrate. Now I'm going to pull the camera up close and turn the sound way down on this thing because it's going to get kind of loud. And you're going to see that the sand dances as I tune to different frequencies of sound. And one of the things I want you to pay attention to is where the sand sits still. That's called a node. That's where I have interference from different parts of the wave that kind of cancel each other out. And so the paper is vibrating like this, but at the nodes, it might be vibrating very, very, very gently. And so the sand is going to kind of settle in to the nodes. And that's going to allow us to see patterns in this thing. The nodes will change. What do we call it where the sand's really bouncing around? It's called an antinode. So you have a node where you have very little to no motion, to no vibration, and you have an antinode where it's really bouncing up and down a lot. And that comes from an interference, an interaction of the waves as they travel through this material, through this medium. antinode. So, pretty cool, right? It helps that the sand is evenly distributed. I kind of played with it a little too long. It kind of stuck in one spot. That's what I was trying to do, going back and forth. I was trying to loosen it up. What could you do with this other than just really appreciate it? Especially if you had colored sand, this would look really cool because you could have the different colors. What I would do if you're going to go the paper route is, find something. Maybe you can play a song through your speakers and let the sand bounce around, and then turn the song off and let it stay, and hit it with some spray adhesive. Spray some spray adhesive on it, and then you can frame it. And people will be like, "What is that colorful, weird pattern thing?" You're like, "Oh, that's just my favorite part of my favorite song." What? I'm not sure how. You have to read up on this. How spray adhesive would react with plastic wrap, though. It might be fine. It might not be fine. So if you have a speaker that's not so strong that you won't be able to use it on the paper, you might not be able to actually capture your pattern with spray adhesive. You might just have to take a picture of it or something. So anyway, that's it for today's S.T.E.A.M session, where we were talking about sound and how you can do some really awesome art with sound. I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Stay safe.